For this fishing lure, I'm going to wipe it down with isopropyl alcohol. It'll leave it nice and clean and it'll be ready for the next step, and we'll dry that with a hairdryer. You may need to use an adhesion promoter depending on the lures you have, or even sanding. Applying our undercoat, it's Autoborn Sealer Black. It's been reduced by about 20% with high performance reducer. We put down a couple of coats and we've dried in between coats, and we've used our Neo TRN2. It is a trigger airbrush from Iwata, and it's a 0.5mm, which is suited to these paints. We're going to paint this lure in Wicked Colours Pearl Black, so no need to clean out the airbrush for once. We can just whack it straight in a little bit of reducer. We're going to put down 2 coats and we're going to dry this in between coats, and we're going to get coverage very quickly because of the undercoat. So I want this lure to be my barra lure, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some Wicked Gold Metallic, and I'm just going to blend in the top of the lure, and that will allow it just to fade slightly down the sides. That's all we need, so don't go blasting it too heavy here. Build up your coats and you'll get a good result from that. I've selected still to use the TRN2 with the 0.5mm. With the metallic gold, it just flows nice through this airbrush, and I got that reduced by about 10% with high performance reducer. And we've selected the Snacks fishing stencils here from Autowear Colours, and this is the one that's got scallops on the side. The scallops have a scale representation that runs through the middle of them, and we've taped up a direct line so we can paint just the scallops how we want it to blend from the top down. And when we're done with this, as you can see now, we're going to use just the compressed air from the airbrush, and that's going to dry off the paint. We could use a hairdryer, and then what we're going to do is we're going to move that scallop down further on the lure, and we're going to finish off. Before you go doing the other side, guys, this is a helpful tip for you. Because the paint on the stencil itself is going to be slightly tacky, if you go stick that on the other side of the lure, because you've got to reverse the stencil, it's going to stick to the lure. So if you go to the spray accessories section on the website at airbrushmegastore.com, grab yourself some big wipes, pick out one of those, put a little bit of high performance reducer on it and wipe down your stencil. The paint will come off within 5 to 10 seconds, dry it off. You can now see exactly through your stencil again, perfect for relocating the other side and no paint transfer. We don't want the scallops to be so blunt, they're so sharp, the edges of them, and it looks like they were stuck on, so we're just going to blend the top in now, and that'll make it seamless. Grabbing another stencil from the Snacks fishing lure stencil set, we've got ourselves the one that we can do the gill rakes. We've taped around the outside the gill rake so there's no overspray going anywhere, and using the same Wicked Gold Metallic, we're going to pound that print pretty hard. Now what we're going to do is we don't want to relocate the stencil because that'll just blur the image. So keeping the stencil on the surface, we use the compressed air from the airbrush in between coats, and that will dry off the paint, and then we apply another coat, and as you can see, it come up really good. Now we need total control, so we're going to use the TRN1, which is the 0.35, so I can get a smaller diameter spray and I can control that really nice. And I've got some Wicked Pearl Black back into the airbrush, and I'm just going to blend in underneath the scallops wherever there's any overspray, so the bottom of the lure is directly black and it doesn't have all gold specks all over it. It'll be a very nice effect. It's time to bring these colours to life with clear coat. So the products you've been using, they're all water-based base coats, but they are all automotive grade pigments, which means you can use acrylic lacquer clear, you can use 2-pack clear, you can dip them, you can have a look at YouTube. You will find there's many different ways to clear coat your fishing lures. But for this job, I'm going to use the acrylic lacquer clear that I found at Super Cheap Autos. It's Duplicolour, and it works very well with these paints, and it doesn't go yellow. A little bit about acrylic lacquer clear. If you've got warm to hot conditions, you can follow the manufacturer's specifications and you'll get a good result. But if you've got cold conditions like we've got now, we've got 2 degrees here right now, which means the substrate temperature of the fishing lure is going to be lower than that. If I try to clear it, what's going to happen is the clear is going to either react and crocodile, or it's going to crack. It's not the paint we've put on, it's going to be the clear coat reacting to the cold weather. So what we're going to do is we're going to warm the fishing lure up by putting a fan heater in the area, and then we're going to put on a couple of coats, drying them with a hairdryer in between coats, and that's only going to take 10 to 15 seconds. Then we're going to build up our coats until we get it nice and glossy. Now if you go for a really saturated coat, it is possible you can get bloom, being the fact that it's so cold, and that is going to be a white tinge. So I suggest you build up your coats medium to wet, and then when you've got it to a stage that you're happy with, call it done. These are the products we use to create our fishing lures, and they're all found at airbrushmegastore.com, except for the acrylic lacquer clear. If you need something and you can't find it, send me an email, info@airbrushmegastore.com. I'm there to answer your questions. But for this kit, we use the Iwata PowerJet Pro. It's strong enough to run all day long. It comes with 2 different air lines on the unit, which means you can run a different air pressure to either side. That is suitable because we wanted to use the Iwata trigger airbrushes. They're both Neos. Why do we use these? Well, being a trigger, when you release the trigger, the airflow and the material stops. So if you're a beginner airbrush artist, you can get great results immediately. If you try to go straight to a trigger airbrush on top of the airbrush, you're going to find that it's going to be harder to use. It's going to take a lot longer to get the knack of it. Don't let that put you off. If that's what you want to do, go for it. But the trigger on the front of the airbrush allows you to get results very quickly. Now, as far as the needle sizes, we used a 0.5mm and a 0.35mm. So the 0.5mm you'd use for your undercoats and your flakes, and the 0.35mm you would use that for doing your more detailed work. So after this, we used the Autoborn sealers as our undercoat. We used Autowear Colors, Wicked Colors and Illustration Colors as our paint job colors. We used V-tape to tape up our designs, and we also used the Autowear Snacks Fishing Lure stencil set. Everyone needs to have these. It comes with a multitude of stencils in that set, different sizes. You can create your scales, your gill rakes, multiple designs. I can't see you doing fishing lures without them. And then we used a variety of Artol stencils, which gave us a great deal of different designs. So if you want to get the results that you've seen in this video, grab this gear and you'll get professional results too.